Devil? When my uncle was about 19 to 20 years old, he was in this band that had 5 other players in it. They would play at the local clubs or bars around the area. One time they had a show in Texas, so they were going to drive down there from Chicago in a van so all their equipment would fit. They left on Friday night to get there Saturday morning, since the party was on Saturday night. So my uncle is driving since he couldn't drink, and everybody else is in the back drinking and singing, etc. At like 2 a.m. they stopped on the side of the road, far from the next town to pee, when all they hear wolves howling. Wolves howling gives me the chills. My uncle gets scared and tells them to hurry in case there really is wolves around them. But one of the guys, Joe, starts laughing. He said he wasn't scared of anything, and even if the devil himself showed up, that he would look him straight in the eye. As soon as he said that, there was a huge gush of wind that passed, and it was so strong that it bent one of the speed limit signs. They all ran into the van and just sat there. My uncle then said that they saw a tall figure walking in the field, with a black hat and his face not showing. He looked like a man just walking across the field, and seemed so tall. The thing is that the wind just stopped blowing and everything stood still. My uncle said he was so scared because they all felt like it really was the devil that Joe had made mad. After that, they didn't speak on the whole ride, and they didn't stop besides for gas. The story that truly made me believe in the paranormal. I had a teacher in high school that really made me believe in the paranormal, or at least gave me some solid evidence. I've always believed, but never really talked with anyone who experienced it firsthand. Anyways, here's a story. So my teacher, I'll call her A, and her roommate at the time, B. A and B were not that smart and decided to use a Ouija board. Nothing really happened, they didn't think much of it. Also, sorry if I forget some details. I was told this story years ago. It was a Friday night, and B was on the couch watching TV in the living room. They decided to stay in that night. B heard some footsteps. A cabinet in the kitchen opened and shut. Then the fridge opened and shut. She assumed it was A, because it seemed so normal and sounded exactly like a person using the kitchen. B didn't think anything out of the ordinary until A came home the next morning. She said she had been out all night. They experienced classic haunting signs, like hearing footsteps, doors slamming, cabinets opening and shutting, objects flying off the wall, etc. So A decided to throw away the Ouija board, thinking that would get rid of everything that was happening. The trash collector came, picked up the trash, and the next morning, A woke up with the Ouija board inside of her room, in her windowsill. They then tried to burn it, thinking that would stop the spirit or whatever it was. The Ouija board would not burn. A told me that she remembers vividly the board not burning because she melted the soles of her shoes and had to throw them away. The end of the school year came. A and B moved out and went their different ways. They did not room together anymore, and A did not have any more paranormal experiences until one day over 10 years after, B calls her and says, "You'll never guess what I found in my attic." It was the same Ouija board. Strange water phenomenon. One of my friends recently told me about something very strange that happened to him once while in college, which was about 3 years ago. He doesn't believe in paranormal things, but I do, so I've taken his story way more seriously than he ever took it. I would really appreciate it if anyone has had any similar water phenomena occur, or if anyone just knows anything about water and the paranormal. Now, here is what happened. He was living in a house with 2 other guys. Both guys had gone out of town for the weekend. It was a Friday night, and he had rode his bike to another friend's house around the corner to drink and hang out. He says he drank a lot, not blackout, but drunk enough to be sufficiently hungover, to not be driving a car or probably a bike. He rode the bike home very late at night and went inside. He says upon entering the house, he heard the shower running. There were 2 bathrooms. He had one all to himself, and the shower was running in the bathroom that his other 2 roommates shared. He walked to the bathroom door and knocked and said, "Hello?" To no reply. He walked into the bathroom and said it was just full of steam. He called, "Hello?" again, to no reply. Keep in mind, his roommates were out of town. He went up to the shower curtain and pulled it back really quickly but saw nothing. He checked the rest of the house for an intruder in need of a shower and found nothing. He went to bed and nothing happened. He woke up the next day and went to get a clean pair of boxers, but the wicker basket he kept his boxers in was soaked, as were all his underwear. He smelled the liquid to make sure it didn't smell like pee, thinking maybe he had sleep peed on them while drunk or asleep. It had no smell though. Later that day, he sat down at his desk and opened the drawer. The drawer had several small compartments inside. Each compartment was filled to the brim with water. He said there was no glass of water on his desk, which had been spilled, and there was no water on top of his desk that had appeared to have dripped inside the drawer. There was just the water in the drawer. Nothing ever happened after that. He tried to explain it away by saying, maybe I was so drunk I turned the water on but don't remember it, which actually makes no sense to me, as the shower wasn't even the one in his bathroom. And then what? You just pour water in your desk and in your underwear drawer just because? I can think of no explanation other than paranormal. My weird experiences with the Evolvulus. A few years ago, I bought the Evolvulus app for my iPhone, more out of the curiosity and to have a bit of spooky fun than anything really serious. I was open-minded, but just a bit skeptical that it was anything more than an app, which spat out random words and maybe listened in on conversations to remember words appropriate to the user. Mostly, it really did seem to spit out random words, but there were 2 times I used it I got responses, which made the hair stand up on the back of my neck. The first time, it was a late Friday night. I was just reading the screen when I heard some car hoons, crazy car enthusiasts who do burnouts etc. on the streets, roaring around in the neighborhood. My son Alex had just gotten his driver's license and bought a souped-up car which he was eager to show off. I was scared he'd get into an accident and kill himself. My first thought when I heard the hoon noises was, I hope that's not Alex. Immediately after I thought that, the next 2 words the Evolvulus said was, "Son safe." It freaked me out because I'd only thought, I hope that's not Alex. And also I said, Alex, not my son. Whatever it was could read my thoughts and knew who Alex was, or it could just be an amazing coincidence that the Evolvulus randomly threw out those words a moment after I had the thought. The second time, which freaked me out, was some time later. I didn't use the app all that much, but a friend had warned me that, when I did, I should protect myself by imagining a white light all about me. I'd only half-heartedly did that, but this time I decided I was going to do it properly and have a good crack at it. The Evolvulus was busy saying random stuff, and I held it in my hand and really imagined a white light surrounding me. It really felt like I'd done it properly this time. The next word out of the Evolvulus was light. Well, that was freaky. Of all the words it might spit out, it spits out light. A moment after, I really make a huge effort to surround myself with light. I found that quite scary, so I turned it off and haven't used it since. It spelled out the word demon a few times, so that really put me off. So, extremely weird coincidence or the real thing? Anyone had any success with this app? My only paranormal experience. So the only paranormal experience I've ever had happened a few months ago, and to this day I'm still kind of weirded out by it. So I'm a college kid, and a few of my buddies and I were at a bar on a Friday night. We all had a few drinks, nothing too extreme. Out of my friend group, I'd say I was the most sober. It was nearing about 1 in the morning when my friend and I texted one of our other friends, who didn't go out, and we asked him if he could pick us up. He said yeah, and about 15 minutes later he picked us up with his girlfriend. I'm good friends with both him and his girlfriend. We were all chit-chatting on our way back home, when my friend had mentioned that they had taken a Ouija board from his girlfriend's grandma's house, and it was in the trunk of the car. In my head, I was saying, screw that, no way, and I said something along the lines of, you should have just left the board in the attic or something. Fast forward 5 minutes and I'm home. I stayed up playing video games for a little bit, and the whole time I felt as if something or someone was watching me. I kept looking out my room into the hallway, and I felt pretty uneasy. Soon I closed my door and went to sleep. I was woken up by a scratching noise on the floors of my bedroom. When I looked under my desk, the area from which I heard the noise, I saw a dark black figure much darker than my room. It was the size of probably a medium-sized dog. I looked over at it for a second, and then it darted out of my room, moving my desk chair. I was mildly creeped out, but I went back to sleep. I should mention that this happened at about 3:45. I was woken up at about 5 in the morning by my door being swung wide open. It slammed into my wall with a lot of force. I'm still sleepy, and now creeped out and annoyed, stayed up the rest of the night playing video games, with my door closed and locked. Since that night, I've never experienced anything paranormal. Also, keep in mind I don't have any pets, and my door was closed, and I was playing video games for about an hour before I went to sleep. I would have noticed an animal in my bedroom, let alone my parents' house. And for the door swinging wide open, this occurred at my parents' house in Connecticut during one of the winter months. It was really cold out and all the windows were closed, so a draft occurring and blowing the door open is impossible. Thanks for reading. Just felt like sharing. The Lightning People. So me and my 2 kids just moved into a new house about 3 weeks ago. My son is 12 years old and my daughter is 6. I just divorced their mom because she had been cheating on me, and I want custody of them, so I decided we needed a fresh start. Now, I don't make a lot of money, so we ended up finding a mobile home in a mobile home park that had been abandoned. It was in pretty ragged shape on the outside, but it's cheap and fairly clean inside. The first week we were there, my daughter woke up one night and came out into the living room and said, "Daddy, we need to help the Lightning People." Naturally, I figured she was sleepwalking, so I tucked her back in, told her another bedtime story, and went back out to finish my movie. She came back out again and said that the Lightning People kept tying her shoes. I laughed and was like, "Okay, sweetie, go back to bed." The next morning I asked her about it. If she remembered saying any of those things, she said yeah, and so I asked her what she meant by saying those things. "I don't know." Okay, so I blew it off and forgot about it. A few weeks later, my son called me and said they got home and the broom, the mop, and the dustpan were all out in the middle of the floor. I thought, okay, that's weird. I told him to put them back in the pantry, and he said he had to wait for me to get there to do it. So I got off work, got home, and he was right, except he failed to mention that they were standing upright, leaning on each other like an Indian teepee. The dustpan has a long handle on it. I just kind of stood there for a bit, and I asked him again, "This is how you found it when you guys got home from school?" He said yeah, and I could only guess that maybe some neighborhood kids got in somehow and played a prank. It was just a few days before Halloween, and the front door doesn't always totally latch, so in theory you can jimmy it open with a screwdriver or something. I told my kids it was just a prank, and I think they thought I meant that I played a prank on them. I didn't correct them and happy to let them think so, but I began jumping at every little sound and shadow the next couple nights. It was like my hackles were raised now, and I knew something wasn't quite right. I felt very anxious and nervous, but then Halloween came, and in the excitement I forgot all about it. We all went to this thing called Trunk or Treat at the church my brother goes to, and met a lot of nice people and had fun. We got home that night and decided to watch some scary movies. My daughter got tired, so me and my son paused the movie while I tucked her in. My son said he wanted to change out of his costume, so I waited for him before starting the movie back up. Then I heard him yelling, "Dad, Dad!" I went into his room and he's pointing into the bathroom, which is shared with my daughter. Their rooms actually connect through the bathroom, and in the shower was a dark shape about 3 feet off the ground. The light in his room had gone out, and I hadn't replaced it yet, so he was using the light from the hallway to light up his room. He and I both froze, and it dissipated just like smoke. After it was gone, I flicked on the bathroom light, and it was cold as hell, but it being 15 to 20 degrees compared to anywhere else in the house. Colder than it was outside, and we did not have the air conditioner on. Me and my son were still speechless, and from behind us, my daughter goes, "Daddy, what did the Lightning People say?" I don't know why she calls them that, or what she meant by saying they tied her shoes, but needless to say, my son won't go into his room anymore, and I cannot blame him. For now, I have them both sleeping with me. I then got a call from my son's teacher saying he broke down crying in class and told her he saw a bathroom demon. I told her he had just a bad dream. I mean, what do you say? Yeah, I saw it too? He is now terrified to live in the house, and he wants to move in with his mom. My daughter seems okay, though, unaware that any of this is actually unusual. Luckily, I never signed any sort of lease agreement, so we have already started packing, and I'll look for a cheap apartment because I am not breaking us all up. For now, though, I am okay, but this fear is really stressing me out. Again, no blame on him, but I just had to share. I would question what I saw if I was alone, but we both saw it, and my daughter is apparently seeing things too. She's just handling it better. As soon as I get a new place, I'm gone. Edit. So it is now a Friday night, and my kids have gone to stay with her mom. She gets them every other weekend, and I have to say that I am not very comfortable alone. Every once in a while, I think I hear things like a pop or a snap, but I can't clearly say it's anything unnatural. I have both doors to my kids' room closed, but I can almost feel like something looking at me or being near me even at this second as I type this. I told my kids not to tell their mom anything about what's been going on again, because I don't want her saying that I'm unfit or filling their heads with stuff, and maybe she would call like CPS or something like that. I have 2 seconds from calling my brother, who lives about 30 minutes away, and asking if I can stay the weekend with him. I'm afraid to say why though, as he is very religious whereas I am not. If I told him why, I'm sure he would say it's stress and nerves, etc. and stuff like that. I am stressed, though, for a lot of reasons, and this isn't helping. To be clear, nothing bad has happened, but I just feel very threatened, scared, on edge, and have not been sleeping very well. Monday, I have an appointment to see an apartment, and if I can afford it, I'm moving regardless of whether I like the place or not. I don't know if it means anything, but my health seems like it's quickly declining too. Nothing big, just lots of little things. Sharp pains in my head, my pelvis area burning when I go to the restroom, pains in my arches of my feet and tips of my fingers. It's probably not related to what's going on here, more likely a stress thing, but I almost feel like I'm under attack. Or I could be crazy, I don't know. Maybe I'm just imagining things and blowing them out of proportion. I even snapped at my boss today and talked back to him because I'm so stressed and tired, and I got written up. I've also been experiencing fatigue and dizziness throughout the day, which has never happened before. I am not in great shape by any means, but this has never happened to me before. Oh, and now the neighbor's dogs that she keeps in her yard are barking up a storm, like they're terrified of something. I just look outside and nothing is there, but they are barking at the area right outside my bedroom window. It's gonna be a long night. Strange situation as a teenager. It was circa 1991 and I was about 16 years old. I was home alone as my parents had gone to their work's Christmas party. They both worked at the same place. Just me and my dog watching a UK show called The Word. It was a Friday night about 10 o'clock or something like that. As I was at college and my parents worked, my grandmother would come up the road and walk the dog once or twice a day. Anyways, I'm laying on the sofa, watching television, and I hear footsteps up the side of the house. They were slow and exactly like my grand's. The dog sat up and began wagging his tail, thinking he would be taken walkies by my nan. I heard the kitchen door open and mumbling and the dog chain rattling. My dog was wagging his tail furiously at the living room door, which was closed. After a moment or two, I let him out to greet her, and he dashed through the door wagging his tail furiously, then ran back through the living room door and literally jumped onto me. Panicking and frightened, I shouted "Nan!" and fully expecting her to say hi or that she was in the toilet or something. Nothing. I sat up now. Something wasn't right. I pushed the dog off of me and went into the kitchen. The door was locked from the inside, with a key in the lock. I literally shat my pants for a moment. I searched the house, nothing. Nobody was with us. The dog was cowering behind me and very sheepish. I immediately felt something very wrong. I quickly ran my nan's landline and it rang for ages. Then she picked up, "Hello?" I said, "Nan, have you just came here?" And she said, "What? No, I'm in bed. I was asleep but came down to answer the phone. Why? Is everything alright?" Not wanting to panic her, I told her, "Yeah, no worries. I just thought I heard her at the back door, but had locked it and thought she had gone home instead, thinking nobody was home still." My parents got home after midnight, slightly merry from their party. I said, "Mom, something very, very freaky happened tonight." And she sobered up as fast as I told her what happened. "We've had 2 or 3 things happen the last few months around here." I didn't want to say anything. "Did you see something?" I said no, but the dog literally shat himself and almost broke my ribs after jumping up onto me, cowering. He was a huge dog. "I think it might be your granddad visiting us." My blood ran cold. He used to always walk the dog until he passed away about 18 months earlier. I've heard him calling my name in the night. I wake up half asleep and hear it like it's in the garden. There's been other times when the room has gone very, very cold, very sudden, like a window has been left open. Also, the dog has acted very strange, howling and whatever. I thought I was just dreaming, or my imagination was getting the better of me in the night, after missing him for so long, and if you and the dog both heard it, then something is definitely going on. Let's just hope it passes. For about 3 months, the dog kept howling at things outside, waking me and my parents. We'd hear footsteps outside, and my dad installed a halogen security PIR light at the back door and overlooking the garden, but they never activated it. Another night, we heard loud footsteps circling and circling, but my dad found nobody outside, and the driveway gate all shut. He nearly rung the police, as he didn't believe it could be something paranormal. As the summer returned and the evenings got lighter, things got back to normal. My mom visited a medium who said that chaos was trying to enter our lives, but not to allow it, that some things in life couldn't be explained, and that to ignore them until they moved on. Thankfully, it would seem they did. I just found the whole thing bloody weird. I was perfectly relaxed watching telly, but both me and my old dog heard the steps, the door opening, mumbling, and his dog chain rattling. But there was F all there. It wasn't sleep paralysis. It was April of 2011 on Good Friday, 2 days before Easter. I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment in a college town with one roommate, my best friend at the time. He and I had a very crazy relationship, and I was dealing with a lot of things as well, personal things, trying to figure out life. The apartment itself was very, very affordable, like absurdly affordable, which I still don't understand. I never felt comfortable in it. I'm not sure if it was just from all the negative energy culminating in that time of my life or what, but everyone that came over said the place had an uncomfortable energy. Some had a few minor experiences other than this one. Anyways, I wake up early in the morning on Good Friday, because I think I hear my front door open and close. My roommate often spent night outs with hookups and would come home the following day and come in my room to talk to me. So I'm laying in bed awake with my eyes closed, waiting for the usual routine. You know how you can feel when someone else's energy is in close proximity to you? It felt like someone was in the apartment. So I am pinpointing the feeling as it moves through the living room, past the kitchen and down the long hallway towards the bedrooms. Mine is the first bedroom you get to. There's a bathroom across the hall from me, and his bedroom and bath are at the end of the hall. I feel a presence stop outside the threshold of my door briefly, then cross into the room. A pressure settles on the end of my bed like someone sitting down. All of this is typical when my friend would come home after being out. I'm still laying there awake, eyes closed, waiting for him to say something. I'm waiting, not alarmed yet. I feel the pressure on the end of the bed slide up the mattress towards me, like a hand, firmly tracing the sheets. Suddenly, there was an immense, crushing pressure on my chest, like someone jumped and straddled me down. I could barely move, and I couldn't speak. I kept trying to yell out for my friend, who I still thought was somewhere in the apartment, but he wasn't. He hadn't come home yet. I tried opening my eyes, but the most they would do was flutter. This allowed me to only see a silver of what was happening to me. I felt a sense of overwhelming doom, like something was attacking me and I was going to die. From what I could make out through my panicked eyes, looked like a dark cloud above me. Not black, but definitely smoky. I tried with everything I could muster to push this force off of me, or to move or cry out anything. Nothing worked, which is as much conviction I think I ever had. I thought, go away, leave me alone. Please, God, help me. The second I did that, the feeling completely dissipated, and I jumped out of bed and started packing my bags. I was supposed to drive at my parents' house to celebrate Easter anyways, but definitely not that early. I had to leave that apartment. As I was packing, I called my boyfriend and go, I know how to explain this to you, but there is someone in my apartment. And he goes, What do you mean? I repeat, I know I sound crazy right now, but you have to believe me. You know I don't make things up. Something is in my apartment and held me down on the bed. I can't see it, As I'm recounting the experience to him, the electricity in his apartment shuts off, leaving him in complete darkness. All electronics, refrigerator, everything stops, and he is in complete silence with me, hysterical, on the phone. He lived in a city an hour and a half away, so he gets a little unnerved, but surely it's a coincidence. Fast forward, I get to my parents' house and I tell them what happened. Easter comes, big family gathering, I tell everyone else what happened. Of course, nobody believes me. Everyone thinks I was dreaming or had a bout of sleep paralysis. I understand how sufferers of sleep paralysis have experienced similar things to my story. I researched it. My issue with this is, 1, I've never before or after this particular incident had sleep paralysis. And 2, I know without a doubt in my mind that I was awake. And 3, this wasn't the first time weird stuff happened at this apartment. Sunday night comes and I have to go back home to this apartment. My parents also live over an hour away, so I don't get home until late that night. Stupid on my part, since I'm already creeped out. I'm on my phone with my boyfriend while I walk up to the place. All the lights are off, meaning my roommate is out for the night again. As I unlock the front door, I get this immense wave of fear, and I tell my boyfriend that I had this overwhelming sense that my cell phone was going to die once I walked into the apartment. He says that I'm just being paranoid, overreacting, overly scared, etc., and it will be fine. I walk into the apartment, illuminated only by the small paranoid light above me in the entryway. The living room light was in a very stupid spot, the center of the entire apartment, which meant that you had to walk through this huge living room in the dark to get to it. I get halfway through the living room. My phone shuts off completely. Dead. It feels like 100 eyes are suddenly watching me. I run to the light switch, throw it on, and spend the rest of the night in the corner of my sectional couch, which was situated the furthest from the bedrooms and back part of the apartment. To this day, nobody really seems to believe me, and my boyfriend doesn't like to talk about it because he thinks it invites negative energy. I would love if anyone has anything similar happen to them of any encounters like this, or some thoughts on the whole experience. Laser ghost lights. I've had my share of paranormal experiences in my life, but the most mind-boggling had to be the night I seen red points of light out of nowhere. It was pretty late on a Friday or Saturday night. I was trudging through another long level in a random game I was playing. I do remember my eyes squinting, and I was getting close to calling it a night. Just before I closed everything out, I noticed on the front of my computer either 1 or 2 red dots flickering around. They look like randomly blinking points of a laser light. I specifically remember looking at the lights and rubbing my eyes because I thought I was seeing things. No. After rubbing the tired out, I still saw the laser lights dancing around the blue power button on my PC. It was a Sony Vaio, which gave off a brilliant blue hue from the power LED. In fact, the red points of light were very dull compared to the LED light. The lights were off, so any point of light was easily seen. I looked behind me and no one was around. I thought it may have been my wife or cousin playing a trick. My wife, girlfriend at the time, was asleep in our bed, and our bedroom door was closed and locked. So I looked back at the front of the PC panel where the lights were and put my hand in front of it. I did this to see where the light may have been coming from, and to my surprise, nothing reflected on the back of my hand. I tried from all angles and nothing. I stood up in a panic, thinking someone was flashing a light through the bedroom window. No, the curtains were pulled tight, and it was just me and my wife who was dead asleep. My panic turned to anger and fear. I stuck to the idea that someone from outside was doing this. I'm pretty sure this only lasted about 10 to 15 seconds, but eventually the light dissipated. I bolted out the door and did a once-over in our home. Everyone was asleep. My cousins, parents, all doors closed. I remember grabbing a knife and running outside to confront whoever got me in this panic. Nobody. We lived on a corner lot, big yard, fence, and my bedroom window was under our deck as well. I crawled into bed and pulled the covers over my face like I did when I was a kid. Thank God my wife was there. I don't think I slept much after that. In the morning, I explained what had happened, and she understood and helped me try to find what it may have been. Even if someone flashed a light through the window, there was no possible way to align it to the PC. I thought it was a laser because of the way it fluttered around, similar to if you're using a laser pointer and trying to point at something far away. It had awkward moment jittery. Thankfully, that was my only encounter with a ghost laser light. Has anyone else had something similar to this?